Welcome back to another adventure with Getting Lost. Today we are actually at West Coast Park. Yes, West Coast Park, not East Coast. To visit this park and see what I can find here in this park. So join me as I explore this park at the west of Singapore, West Coast Park. Welcome back! We're actually at West Coast Park today, which is a large regional park located in the southwest of Singapore. It is actually a linear park comprising a 50 hectare of parkland, and this park actually runs parallel to the West Coast Highway. And due to the limited land mass and high population growth in Singapore, many parks in Singapore are actually built on reclaimed land, like East Coast Park and Pasir Ris Park. This park here, West Coast Park, was developed on a piece of reclaimed land. And this park itself, normally is actually not very, how do I say this? Not many people come by here because, first of all, this park itself is right next to the Pasir Panjang container port. And so having like giant cranes and structures and container terminals and containers everywhere on that side there spoils the ambience, spoils the atmosphere of this place. And you're also right beside a highway, a high traffic highway. So it by itself, like I said, ambience not there, but there's still wildlife, like this little bird here. I think it's some kind of like an egret or crane or some kind of related to that, and it still makes, they still come here and they still like, something that's different that you can't see at other parks. And that is because not many people come to this park. Because of less visitorship to this park, I think you can see things here that other places you may not be able to see, like this type of birds. And this park was completed in 1979. But there are improvements that have been done here and there to improve the park itself. And one thing you can also notice that over this side here, there are actually casuarina trees. And casuarina trees nowadays, the park services or national parks itself do not really plant much casuarina trees anymore. But here, there are actually casuarina trees. So this park itself, at least part of it is quite old. And they have actually casuarina trees, and casuarina trees are some kind of like a tropical plant, a tropical tree that's related to pine trees. And look here, it's another casuarina tree, but this one here has flowers. To my knowledge, I do not think casuarina trees have flowers of this kind. And as you get closer to it, you'll notice that these are not casuarina tree flowers. These are actually bougainvillea. This is the pink bougainvillea flower. Somehow, the bougainvillea tree has become a parasite and has grown up together with or grown on the casuarina tree itself and has flowered. And look at that, it's quite beautiful. And this is the first time I've seen this type of plant and tree together, which is a very interesting and very unique and very symbiotic or parasitic relationship. I'm not sure which. And if you look further there, you also see other casuarina trees, but this one here have different type of foliage at the bottom of the tree itself. And in the distance, another casuarina tree with bougainvillea, and this time the bougainvillea is a different color. And here again is the casuarina tree with some kind of parasitic plants. This one I know is parasitic plants because these plants itself also grow on the rainforest trees, sorry. And here, look at that, this is a pinkish kind of bougainvillea. And this one hasn't been trimmed much, so you can actually see much more green foliage, green leaves. And it also doesn't go up very tall, go up very high, but it has a nice pinkish flowers. And in the distance there, another bougainvillea tree together with a casuarina tree, and this one has grown all the way to the top, and this one is a white bougainvillea flower, and the flowers goes all the way to the top there. Interesting. And another hybrid bougainvillea casuarina, and this one, another one that goes all the way to the top there. Look at that, the flower almost to the top of the casuarina tree. Fascinating how two different species of plants, the trees, combine into one, using each other to support itself. And we're just heading further down and continuing down here. Over that side there will be the highway, and this is actually a road that actually brings all the trucks, all the container trucks to the port over there, or take the from the port, bring it to the main road to go to the highway. So we're going to go under that road through this underpass. We are going to a underpass, a pass that's underneath. And look at that, we have some sailing motifs, and we have come out here on the other side of the underpass. As you can see here, the trees here are a bit more, slightly different. They have planted more trees here, and also on the right there you can see all the rainforest trees. And we here have another drain with water going towards the sea, towards the container port, that direction. But at the time I was visiting, I think it was, I don't know whether it's high tide. I think it was high tide, so the water level was quite high. And we have also came to this portion here where there are actually barbecue pits. And like I said earlier, because of the container ports here, it's quite noisy. The ambience, the atmosphere is a bit disturbed. Even though you have a nice barbecue pit, you do not have the nice seaside that's missing that you get at East Coast Park. Oh, and here, this is another tree which I found. They actually planted a lot of these trees here. These trees here are called cannonball trees. Okay, and this pretty flower. Okay, so basically these cannonball trees, you can normally find this near Hindu temples, and they normally are planted outside the temple because the flower itself has a very nice sweet smell, and they actually use the flowers as garlands in their prayers. So you usually can find lots of this type of trees near temples, Hindu temples. But in this park itself, they actually planted a lot of these trees here. So if you want, you can actually come here and just have a look at all these trees which are all over the park. So as you keep walking down that direction, you'll reach a bridge, and you can see there's actually a bit of a waterway here, and this waterway here will lead you to this area, and in the distance is actually Jurong Island. So let's just cross over the bridge, and if you can hear it now, you can actually hear lots of bird calls. There are birds singing in the area right in front of us here, this greenery area. And this is like a bit of a waterway here, or drainage, or a canal that will lead all the way to the sea. Then right in front of us here is actually the West Coast Pier. And in the pier itself, there's also a lot of area where there is yachts, where people park their boats in the water. Something like a boat car park, a boat park. And if you keep walking down that direction, what you'll bring you to is to the West Coast Park lookout deck. And at this lookout deck, what you can see is, like I told you, the car park for all the yachts and boats. And right in front over there is actually the Republic of Singapore Yacht Club and Wharf. And also one thing interesting here, you can see at the side here, there are little fishing boats. Okay. And if you look, this is all the yachts, and you look past the yachts in the distance there, you can actually see a flame on top of a tower. That is Jurong Island. Not a place you can normally visit unless you are working there. But lots and lots of yachts, and look at that, fishing boats. Yes, fishing boats. These are small little fishing boats. So I guess there are still some people who are actually fishermen who do in Singapore, I guess. But look at that. But look at all the different types of yachts and boats in the yacht car park, or yacht park, or boat park, or boat dock. I think you call it a dock, not a park, right? Yeah, I think a dock. A boat dock. Pier. But what I'm really more interested in here is here, all the little boats, fishing boats. And if we keep walking this direction here, we have finally reached the, we're not going to call it the beach, but the sea itself, the sea area. The part of the park where you're directly next to the sea. And directly in front of that, you can notice there's a big piece of land, grassland, where you can actually, a big field where you can actually play sports and do a lot of activities here. Huge place, and it's just right beside here. And right in front of us now is actually the promenade lookout jetty. Okay. So it's a jetty that looks out onto the sea itself. Yes, this is the jetty itself. And you just keep walking down, and right next to that is this area here called Pandan River. But this Pandan River is right next to an industrial area, which is near the Pandan Road industrial area. So even though it is seawater, but because of the industrial things that are happening around there, you know, fish that I catch, if you actually catch any fish here, I don't think it'll be advisable to eat them. Just release them. That's the safe bet. Anyway, we're going to walk straight, and we reach almost towards the end of the park itself. We can't actually walk straight anymore. What we're going to do, we're going to turn right and walk down here. Okay. As you can see, there's actually a broad walk here, and this broad walk will bring us to this place called the Marsh Garden. And the Marsh Garden is a 1 hectare garden which is home to 15 species of birds and 10 species of plants. And so basically they actually built this marsh area, which is a biodiverse area of a mangrove habitat that's here for us to just enjoy. So you just can come here to the marsh garden here and just enjoy. Okay, so you have a broad walk, and then some, as you can see towards here, you have some trees, but if you look past the trees, that's where the marsh is. Yeah, the marsh or swampy area. And you keep walking along this path here, you'll reach back to the broad walk, and if you keep walking along the broad walk, you'll find that there's actually a pier that you can actually go on top of the water and have a look and see what's in the marsh itself. So this is the pier itself, a lookout pier, which will bring you to the river itself. As you can see, this is the river, and this marsh area here is actually just right next to the Sungai Pandan Kecil, and I suspect that the water from this river itself actually feeds into this marsh area and keep this area here nice and wet. And if you zoom in, you can notice that there are actually quite a lot of fishes are actually swimming in the water here. That means the water here is clean and fresh and good enough for these fishes to live. And here it is. Once we walk past this boardwalk, we will reach back to the huge field that we saw earlier where people were playing sports. Like I told you earlier, that was the Marsh Garden. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed our adventure here at West Coast Park. Yes, West Coast Park. A park that not many people visit, but still a very nice and big and huge park where you can do lots of activities, and there are also very interesting playgrounds for little kids to play, which I didn't feature here. So I hope you enjoyed it, and as per usual, what I need you to do is I need you to help me by liking my video, sharing my video with your friends, and subscribing to my channel. And lastly, but the most important thing, the thing that you must do is to join me for my next adventure. See you then. Bye bye.